Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, on our channel, you see us doing a lot of welding, and I mean a lot of welding, and most of it is with MIG. Now, we use MIG because we can spot weld. It's very easy, very quick. You can use some cheap inert gas, although on that bottle there's argon. We usually use CO2, which is cheaper. Is it CO2? Yeah. But if, like me, you've always been curious about the other types of welding, like TIG, we do that, but we don't show it on the channel because it's very time consuming and it's very hard to learn, whereas MIG is very easy. There's stick welding, usually for heavier stuff, not for things like our 1.2 to 1.6 mild steel. The other option that has recently become available to the general public, it's kind of cheap enough, is laser welding. Now, I've always been curious about it and I've always wanted to try it. And that's where XLaserLabs approached us and said, do you want to try out one of our laser welders? Well, yes. So over there it is. Now, the X1 Pro from XLaserLabs isn't just a welder. It's also a rust remover and handheld cutter, and can also be retrofitted to a CNC machine. And with it being 700 watts, it's clearly capable of all that it claims. And we're going to try all of its guises. Laser cleaning, it does laser welding, and incredibly fast laser cutting. So we're going to try all those out, maybe on the Datsun and on the bench. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to try the laser cleaner. Now, the first issues I had was this is a 6mm hardline, pushing hardline, but most of our bottles are on this flexi pipe, so I just literally had to buy an adapter and a little pushing screwy thing and screwed it into there, and it worked quite well. Now, we're just using CO2 for this demonstration, but you can use other gases like argon or Cougar and mix anything like that for things like your stainless steel and your aluminium welding. You do have to have the emergency stop plugged in, that goes in the back. This is your ground wire. All this does is makes a circuit and lets your welder and plate that you're welding onto are in contact before it'll do it. Now, if you can't get a ground on your laser cleaner, I don't advise this, but you can ground it out like that, so you can shoot planes from the sky. Don't shoot planes from the sky. There are a lot of safety features on here. One thing I must stress, do wear safety glasses. This thing, if it ricochets off of a shiny surface and hits you in the eye, you're probably blind. Now, one thing to note, this does also come with some very long cables. The power cable goes forever. The ground cable goes forever. And the laser cable itself, which you do have to be fairly careful with because these are fragile. So first thing we need to do is ground the Datsun. I'll go put the power on. Right, so this machine is very, very easy. Straight away, you've got welding, you've got cutting, and you've got cleaning. The first thing we're going to do is the laser cleaning. So we're going to keep it on that, click on confirm, and all we've got is power, frequency, duty cycle, and width. All we're going to concentrate on at the moment is the width and the power. Leave the frequency and the duty cycle as they are. We've got it on 80% power. I don't think we need 80% power. If you double click on the number, it actually brings you up a little type screen. We're going to pop it on maybe 40%. And the width, we're going to leave it on maximum. You can use the plus and minus keys as well. Again, with all the processors, you do need gas. With the laser cleaning, we're just going to stick with CO2 for now, just because it's convenient. We can move it around a little bit, and we haven't got anything else connected up. But for the laser cleaning, I think you can just use compressed gas, so you don't need an inert gas. With a laser cutting, I think it's exactly the same, but you get better results if you're using an inert gas, because you get a cleaner dross on there. You don't get as much dirt coming out the other side. So the bit we're going to start laser cleaning first is the rear quarter on the Datsun. Now we're probably going to cut most of this out, but in the interest of science, we're going to zap it first and see what happens. One thing not to forget, your glasses. Reflective surfaces, these bounce everywhere, you can't see them. One hits your eye, whoosh, you're done for. Let's see what happens. Right, it's absolutely chucking it down outside, and I found an issue. Now the issue is, this has to contact the metal surface where the clamp is to make a contact, then it'll let you start using the laser for cleaning or whatever. The only issue is, when I'm on here, it's rusty, so there's no contact. The actual rust is getting in the way. So again, just in the interests of science, don't do this at home. I'm going to connect that to that, and that will let us laser clean. It seems to have done a pretty good job. Let's have a look what laser cutting's like. Changing from laser cleaning to laser cutting is as simple as getting this very hot tip wear gloves out and changing it for the cutting one. This time, because we've got a good bench and we've got a good earth, we're going to strap this onto his bench, because this is metal, so anything we cut will basically earth through the table itself. Now changing the settings is as easy as changing the tip. You click on mode selection, click on cutting, confirm. We confirm that. We're going to leave the power settings, all the frequency settings and the duty cycle settings exactly as they are. Now that has made the thinnest cut line in existence. And the dross on the back, and moment of truth. Now I'm going to guess I've got some kind of settings wrong, just because it's not as clean on the back as I expect. Choose a straight edge. Again, that cut through very easy. Now the problem I was having was my earth wasn't going through, and I was losing earth contact through here every now and then. So I do need to improve that. But if I clamp this to here, undo it. Comes off easy and it's cleaner. Wow. I do need to tweak a few things on here. I think I need my pressure higher so we get a cleaner cut. But you've got to admit that is impressive. Can it cut something like this? Let's have a see. Now that definitely worked, and this is what? It's 2.5, 3 mil steel, and that cut through it like it was butter. Not a fantastic amount of cleanup, not the cleanest, but then again, very wobbly hands and probably not high enough pressure gas. But that is quite impressive. Again, went through it like butter. But let's get this thing rigged up and see if we can do some laser welding with it. Right, now this is the guide we want, 2 of these, because as you can see, 0.8, which is the gauge of wire that we're using. Right, so now the wire feed is set up, fairly easy, self-explanatory, and it's all in the manual. This is the wire feed. We've now got to rig this up to with this little bracket here, to our laser, so it feeds the wire into the laser. We also have to change this head and screw this into here to give us a little bit of adjustment as well. Right, so after swapping over to the welding tip, and this bit, very faffy, you do have to take your time to get this in position. But as you can see, that laser is now shining on that wire. And fingers crossed, we should be able to weld with it, maybe. Let's give it a try. Have a look at settings. Welding, confirm. 10% power. We've got enable as gas. We'll do that last. We've got enable as wire feed. Carbon steel. 1 mil. Happy. Wire feed's on. Gas is now on. We are going to wear those goggles. Let's see what happens. That's the thinnest weld I've ever seen in my life. As you can see on this piece, the weld started off pretty nice, then started going a bit wrong, and I couldn't understand why until I looked at the back side. Now it's starting to warp and produce a gap here that my settings cannot cope with. Now second try, I tacked it here, here and here, and that, it's not a bad weld, apart from a little bit it missed. Now with this welded just one side with a 2.4mm weld and only halfway across, I'm going to guess this is going to be pretty weak. It may be strong this way against for the weld, but against the weld I think it's going to be pretty weak. This one may be a little bit stronger, but the penetration is very good. Let's try this one first. We'll go for the weld. Wow, that has bent, hasn't even touched the weld, it's bent the metal. Let's try the opposite way around. Again, it's done the same. It's failed a little bit here where the welding was bad, but here it's not touched it. The bend's actually travelled further up, so this is not the weak point. The metal itself is weaker. Let's try this one. First go against the weld. And same thing, it's not touched the weld, it's actually bent above the weld. Now if I bend it this way, it's going to be weaker because it's only welded this side. Let's see if we can make a stronger weld. I'm definitely along the right tracks because the weld is worse, but the penetration is better. Now that has failed, but because we welded it both sides, the weld is actually now stronger than the metal. If I show you here, that's the weld and the metal. Now the metal's failed and the weld is still on there. So this welding, even though it's still fairly basic and poor, is stronger than the metal that we're welding. So the next thing we're going to try and do is weld this cut and butt panel where the panel's been laid over the top and then a zippy disc has gone around to sink it back into the same level, and then it's been tacked round. Now I don't think a laser welder can fill that gap because all the tutorials I've seen, you put the metal butt up against it. We will try that on the bench later if this doesn't work, but let's give it a go. All it basically does is it either just carries on melting the weld back because it's got no substance around it, or the wire twists a little bit, goes underneath and goes through the gap and doesn't hit the weld pool. Now there is one little bit here we managed to weld, that's because the panel was touching, and a little bit here when we was a little bit lucky and we got a weld pool going, and we kind of used like a figure of 8 movement to try and keep that weld pull. But the problem is, as soon as you start altering the angle of this, it alters the angle of the wire as well. So unless you're on a bench and you've got that wire pinned down into that groove to keep it guided, it's not going to work. As soon as you've got no surface to press on, like the gap that's between these panels, it won't keep that wire where you want it to be. So let's show you on a fixed piece. Not a fixed piece, on a piece that's buttered right up. Right, so now we're going to show you two pieces of metal that are completely buttered up right together, pressed together. We'll weld that, show you the penetration, show you how strong it is, and show you that it does need a surface to guide that wire on. Right, so the first weld, we had on the wrong power, see here. So we kind of snap that off and start again. The second weld, as you can see, the settings aren't perfect, but it has penetrated. It's strong. Right, so this had, how did I do that? Right, so the first weld we did, I had the settings wrong on there because I turned them down to try and do that butt weld, so that didn't work. So we snapped them off, they're on the outside. It almost fell apart, absolute rubbish. But we left, it's not even, it's 1/4 of a millimetre, it's the tiniest gap in between the panel. And obviously the settings are still a little bit wrong because I just quickly set it on 95% power and 3 width and 80 hertz. I mean, probably hertz need to come down. The power needs to come down a little bit and the width needs to come down as well. But we did get full penetration and the weld is all right. Right, verdict time. Can this welder weld our cut and butt panels up? No, it can't do it. It cannot bridge this gap in between these panels. Not at the moment, not in the 2 days I've used it. I may change my mind. If I do find out a setting, I have used all of them. If I do find out a setting that will do it and a technique that will do it, I will let you know. The laser rust remover is good, it's fantastic. It's got a lot of settings on there and this is 800 watt and it does get in really, really tight spaces, which is fantastic. But if you're using a big area or you want a proper clean surface, you're better off with an independent rust removal machine. The laser cutter is superb. It'll get in tight spaces, which is brilliant, instead of us trying to get an angle grinder. So this will frequent the channel. Will it replace our Artec MIG welder? No, not at all. They've got two different purposes. This is going to be mainly on a bench and occasionally over on a car cleaning and cutting, and this is going to be welding the cars up. So there will be more videos on this machine, so just keep watching and we will see you in the next one. And don't forget to click on the link in our description below for more information about the XLaserLabs X1 Pro.